Welcome to another video uh, on the relationship between agriculture sector and economic development. Perhaps this has been well written by many economists, especially agriculture economists, how the agriculture sector contribute to the process of economic development. But in this video, I would like to put the same kind of explanation in a different way, because I think many of you find it very interesting to look at the contribution of agriculture sector to economic development in a very different perspective, different from the kind of explanations given in many of the textbooks. I feel that this is a quite different one. So it is customary to summarize in 4 ways how the agriculture sector contributes to an economy's development. So you can put the contribution in 4 ways. The agriculture sector's contribution to the economy's development can be put in 4 ways. One is it helps in faster development by supplying foodstuffs to the rapidly increasing population and raw materials to other expanding sectors in the economy. Of course, food is very essential for other sectors, and agriculture sector is the main source of food for other expanding sectors. That's the first thing. Secondly, it provides investable surplus of savings and taxes to support investment in other expanding sectors. What does it mean? We know that when an economy develops, naturally its agriculture sector will be developed first. So the agriculture sector's savings and the taxes which we collect from the agriculture sector will be supportive of investments in all other expanding sectors. So if you look at the pattern of development of economies, you can find that it is agriculture sector which develops first, then followed by the development of the industrial or manufacturing sector, then ultimately leading to the development of the tertiary sector or the so-called service sector. Therefore, the progress of the agriculture sector seems very important, because it is this sector which provides the initial savings, initial source of investment for all other expanding sectors in an economy. And thirdly, the rising agriculture income will raise the demand from the rural population for the products of the other expanding sectors. So when agriculture sector's income increases, naturally the people belonging to the agriculture sector, engaged in the agriculture sector, are very poor people. Therefore, marginal propensity to consume of these people will be very high. As a result, when their income rises, they will start demanding more of the industrial or manufactured items. And this will provide demand to the products of the other sectors, and as a result, the economic development will be accelerated. So the rising agriculture income will raise the demand from the rural population for the products of other expanding sectors. Finally, agriculture sector can also contribute to economic development by relaxing the foreign exchange constraint, because poor countries lack foreign exchange. And if the agriculture sector produces enough food, then there won't be any need to import food from other countries. And if the agriculture sector saves more money, if the agriculture sector supports import substitution, then it will be helpful for the economy to ease the constraints of the foreign exchange. So precious foreign exchange of the economy can be saved if the agriculture sector comes to a stage where it can contribute positively to import substitution effects of the country, and if it can contribute to the aggregate supply of the country, especially the agriculture output, then the dependence of the country on other nations for the import of the food can be avoided. So agriculture sector in that way supports economic development by relaxing the foreign exchange constraint, by earning foreign exchange through the export, or by saving foreign exchange through import substitution. So simply speaking, these are the 4 ways in which we customarily put the contribution of the agriculture sector to an economy's development. The first is it supplies foodstuffs to the other sectors. The second is it provides investable surplus of savings to the other sectors. Thirdly, it raises the demand for the products of the other sectors. Fourthly, it helps the economy to save the foreign exchange reserves or foreign exchanges through the export and through the import substitution activities. Now, Kuznets, a very famous economist, summarizes these four contributions in three forms. So these four contributions, which we have highlighted, are put in three important forms by Simon Kuznets. That is product contribution, factor contribution, market contribution. So in the next slides, we will be explaining these three types of contributions. The product contribution by the agriculture sector to the economic development, factor contribution by the agriculture sector to economic development, and market contribution by the agriculture sector to economic development. So product contribution. Coming to the product contribution, we see two kinds of contributions. One is provision of wage good. Provision of wage good. So what exactly is the provision of the wage good? You know that wage goods are goods on which the wage is spent. So what is wage good? These are goods on which wage is spent. These are goods on which wage is spent. So we know that we spend our wage on necessary items. Necessary items like for purchasing grocery items, for purchasing soap, for purchasing toothpaste. So these necessary items we will purchase using the wage. And you know that most of these necessary items are produced by the agriculture sector. So agriculture sector helps other sectors by providing wage good. Second is industrial raw materials. This is how the agriculture sector helps the industrial sector by providing industrial raw materials. Now, wage goods are goods on which the wage is spent. Economic development is characterized by increasing the demand for agricultural products, and failure to expand food supplies in pace with the demand can impede economic growth. So if you fail to provide agricultural products in tune with the demand for it, then it will actually disrupt, it will actually impede the economic growth. And developing phase of an economy results in increased population, shifting of labor from rural areas to urban areas, increase in per capita income. All these changes will lead to a higher demand for foodstuff. So as the economy develops, there will be population increase, there will be shifting of the labor from the rural area to urban area that will increase the demand for the product, and people will get more income. The per capita income of the people will be raised, and this will also lead to a higher demand for foodstuff. So if this higher demand of the foodstuff is to be met, then agriculture sector should be developed, and should be developed to that extent where it can easily help the other expanding sectors. Now, you know that there is a provision of industrial raw materials because the economic history of many countries shows that agro-based industries were the first to develop in such countries for three reasons. So most of the economies, if you look at the economic history of most of the economies, you can find that agriculture-based industries were the first to develop. Then the other manufacturing sectors means were developed in such countries. So why did this happen? Why were the agriculture-based industries developed first in these countries? Because it is easier for agro-based industries to draw raw materials from the agriculture sector. Secondly, such industries can be started with traditional technology. And thirdly, it is easier to shift labor from agriculture to agro-based industries. And now, we will discuss the market contribution. So we have seen the product contribution in two ways. Actually, the agriculture sector helps the industrial development. That is, one way is provision of wage good, and the other way is by supplying necessary industrial raw materials. for the manufacturing sector. So these are the two ways through which agriculture sector contributes to economic development by way of product contribution. Now we will see the next contribution, which is called market contribution. According to Kuznets, market contribution takes place when the given sector provides such opportunities by offering a part of its product on domestic or foreign markets in exchange for goods produced by the other sectors at home or abroad. Simply speaking, we give a part of our product to the other sectors, so thereby making a market for it. Agriculture makes market contribution to economic growth by purchasing some products items from other sectors. So agriculture sector, people in the agriculture sector purchase items from other products. People purchase consumer items, manufactured consumer items, and also agriculturists or the farmers, they purchase implements and machines from the industrial sector. So this is how the agriculture sector helps economic growth by purchasing some items from other sectors. Next, selling some of its product to dispose of its marketable surplus. So if agriculture sector produces a marketable surplus, then it will be sold out. So therefore, it is creating a market for both input and output. Now let us see the market contribution. The factor contribution. Factor contribution occurs when some resources or factors are transferred from agriculture sector to non-agriculture sector of the economy. So when you transfer sector factors of production from the agriculture sector to the rest of the economy, that means the non-agriculture sector, then at that time the factor contribution actually takes place. So factor contribution is said to take place when some resources are transferred from the agriculture sector to the non-agriculture sector of the economy. So what are these resources? Two such factors of production or resources are capital and labor. Hence, there are two kinds of factor contributions. One is capital contribution and the other is labor contribution. So two factors of production or two resources may be transferred from the agriculture sector to non-agriculture sector. The first one is capital and the next one is labor. Therefore, you can say that there are two kinds of factor contributions. One is capital contribution and the second is labor contribution. Coming to the capital contribution, according to Meller, an agricultural economist, the contribution of the agriculture sector to capital formation may be marshaled in four ways. The first one, through the medium of taxes such as land tax and agriculture tax. So how does the agriculture sector help the economic development through capital formation? This is the way, because we usually tax the agriculture sector in two ways. First is the land tax. We impose land tax. Second, we impose agricultural income tax. Through these two taxes, we will get enough money, and that money can be put for the development of the other sectors. Or that this money which we collect from the agriculture sector, either in the form of the land tax or in the form of the agriculture tax, can be put together for the use of capital formation in all other sectors. Secondly, through an increase in agriculture production. Increase in agriculture production brings about a relative decline in agriculture prices and hence favor increases profits in the non-farm sector, which in turn brings about favorable effects on savings and investment in that sectors. So then simply speaking, you can explain in this way. Suppose that agriculture sector produces more output. Then what happens? Prices in the agriculture sector will be declined. As prices decline, other sectors will be able to purchase more commodities at a low cost from the agriculture sector. This reduces the cost of production of the other sectors. And in that way, the other sectors or non-farm agriculture sectors, non-farm sectors, the rest of the economy, the rest part of the economy will be able to save more. And as a result, they will be able to invest more also. So this is another way the agriculture sector can help the capital formation of an economy. That means when agricultural production rises, naturally the increase in the supply of the agricultural products will will result in a decline in the prices of the agricultural commodities, and this will help all other sectors to purchase commodities from the agriculture sector at a less cost, and this will help the other sectors to save more, and as a result they will start invest more in their sectors, and this will finally contribute to increasing of the capital formation in the economy. Now, agriculture may form capital directly within its own sector and minimize its own demand for capital from other sectors. Means if the agriculture sector starts means forming its own capital, then naturally the demand for capital from other sectors will be declined. So agriculture need not depend on other sectors for capital if it develops its own capital. Agriculture sector may invest directly in other sectors also. So sometimes the big in developed countries where agriculture sector has been mechanized, has been corporatized, and they invest money in other sectors also. In some developed countries, big agriculture corporations, they have established power projects also, means to get means power for their operations. They do not depend upon any power companies. They have their own power plants, and through which they can means get means sufficient electricity for running their agricultural operations. So this is how the agriculture sector means helps the entire process of capital formation. Now, the transfer of capital can be voluntary and compulsory. So this kind of capital transfer from the agriculture sector to non-agriculture sector can be voluntary and compulsory. Voluntary transfer of capital is done through taxation. So when you tax the agriculture sector, either in the form of the land tax or income tax, actually that is a compulsory transfer of capital, because you are forcefully, compulsorily, you are taking means fund from the agriculture sector to finance operations in the other sectors. That is a compulsory transfer of capital. This kind of transfer played a greater role in the early development of countries like Japan and England. These two countries, in their early stages of development, these countries are reported to have used this compulsory transfer of capital from the agriculture sector to the other sectors for their development. Voluntary transfer happens when the farm sector lend or invest its own savings in non-farm sectors. So these voluntary transfers, when the agriculture sector lends or invest in the non-farm sectors, that is a voluntary transfer of capital. And compulsory transfer of capital means we are taking forcefully money from the agriculture sector by taxing them and transferring the resources to the other sectors. So the transfer of capital can be voluntary and compulsory. And savings in the agriculture sector. Savings in the agriculture sector is a function of three things. One is the share of agriculture in income, the level of real income in agriculture sector compared to other sectors, the relative propensity to save in the agriculture sector of the population. So savings in the agriculture sector can also lead to investment or can also help in the capital formation. And savings in the agriculture sector is a function of three things: share of the agriculture in total income, level of real income in agriculture sector, and thirdly, marginal propensity to save of the agricultural population. So we know that if the agriculture sector share in total income increases, then also savings from the agriculture sector will rise. And if the real income of the agriculture sector, real income small letter y, increases, this will also increase the savings. If the marginal propensity to save of the agriculture sector increases, then also savings from the agriculture sector rises. And so with this, we come to the next part, that is the labor contribution. And we know that in most underdeveloped economies, agriculture sector sustains more labor than required. So we know this because there is surplus labor in the agriculture sector. And this type of labor is known as disguised labor. Disguised labor means concealed labor, because we do not see the labor, means on prima facie we do not see the labor, but labor is there. This type of labor is known as disguised labor. And with development, labor migrated from the agriculture sector to the non-agriculture sector. So as development takes place, labor will be migrated from the agriculture sector to the non-agriculture sector. According to Kushner, this transfer of workers leads to an increase in capital formation in non-agriculture sector because each migrant is of working age and is able to transfer their savings to the migrating sectors. So these agriculturists or the laborers in the agriculture, workers in the agriculture sector, they are very young people. They can contribute a lot. So when they are transferred from the agriculture sector to non-agriculture sector, these migrants have actually come to the migrating sector or other sectors with their savings, with their physical ability, with their technical know-how. Therefore, in that way, means agriculture sector can contribute other sectors by providing surplus labor. So we have certain theories of surplus labor, and these theories explain how the agriculture sector contributes the other sectors through the supply of excess unproductive labor from the agriculture sector to the other sectors. So with this, we finish our presentation.